something that struck me whilst that was on, not a conundrum, what's the word I'm looking for? Seemed an odd situation in that counterintuitive. Somebody was making a counterintuitive point in that in the current economic climate, they were suggesting that there are, and I think this person was on the radio, that there are lots of businesses that are hanging on.
That's
like
correct,
the baby.
yes.
And that the marketplace, for you then, presumably, isn't as buoyant as one might think in these bad economic times, because a lot of businesses are hanging on that should perhaps have gone, and in a healthier economy they would have gone.
There's a myriad of reasons why that is the case. Some of them are very low interest rates are allowing some companies to just keep going, they're hanging onto the cliff edge with their fingernails. Perhaps the attitude of some government bodies are not being so harsh in collecting some tax revenues, and they're having a very sort of supportive approach, which I think is a fantastic thing from a business perspective, that they're helping businesses survive and helping them provide the facilities to turn around. And generally, I think there's just a lot of uncertainty out there, and people aren't necessarily putting companies into liquidation that perhaps they would have perhaps in the last recession cycle.
So we, in the greater sense of the word we, the economy is kind of treating businesses a little bit more gingerly to do everything we can.
Yes, to an extent. I think the important message here, though, is that it's very uncertain times, because all of the recent trends that you've had in previous recessions and previous growth cycles, in this recession, all bets are off. All bets are off.
Absolutely.
All the previous trends, every economist we speak to, every presentation and seminar we go to, one of the consistent messages is, well, in the recession of the 80s and in the recession of the 90s, this happened and then that happened. But this time around, this is happening, and then the other thing's going completely the wrong way. And it's very much an uncertain time. And so the usual triggers that happened in the last recession or two are acting in a very, very different way this time around.
Yeah, but I would perceive it as a good thing that businesses which might, in a boom, might have gone bust, are actually continuing, because that's people who are still in employment, that's business rates that are being paid to the local council. There's all sorts of positivity about that, and those businesses could turn around with your assistance or with the assistance of others. They could turn around and become a profitable business. And I think that in a boom, when business is just gone, well, did they have enough chance to recover?
That's a very good question. We could debate all day about, our industry calls them zombie companies that are very much hanging on. And
I heard that before.
It's a very common phrase, but excuse it, but the Walking Dead, as it were. And we can debate all day about the reasons why they're not totally being pushed to the wall. I think the important thing is just the general public message is that people have to take advice early, and actually perhaps ceasing to trade might be one of the best options available. If you're trading at a loss and you're having to personally fund the losses of the company, or you're having to throw more and more money at a problem, you might get to a point where actually you think, really, we've got to draw a line in the sand here.
Yeah, that's the get up and get out option, which sometimes is the healthiest, and what might be mitigating against that for some people is that it's the baby, I don't want to let go, and other times it's the general economy is being easy on the business and make it easier to hang on.
You're right. It's very difficult for people, obviously, to take advice, but one of the messages we get quite regularly is that people feel quite relieved when they actually take advice, and the weight tends to come off their shoulders, and by sharing their problems, actually, they tend to come to it.